Hello and welcome to another session of Groundbreakers Live. I'm your host Javed Mohammed, and we're very honored to have with us Baruch Sadogursky, who heads up the DevOps advocacy at JFrog, and he's presenting at DevNexus. Baruch, welcome.
Thank you, Javed. Always a pleasure. It would be much better to do it in person, but it is what it is.
It is what it is. So I was looking at your Twitter profile. It says you're Chief Sticker Officer. What is that?
I am Chief Sticker Officer in different days and times. You know how it goes. I come to conference and I bring stickers with me, and I give everybody tons of stickers for the fun of it. And that's how I am the Chief Sticker Officer. But now, unfortunately, that's not how it works. I try to do my best.
Okay. Well, it's fun to be around as well as very informative. So you have a session at DevNexus, Influencing DevOps Without Authority. So how did you come up with that title, and what's it about?
Yeah, so the idea behind this talk is that a lot of very smart people in the organization know what real DevOps is. They know that it's not about tooling, that it's not like DevOps in the box, that's having a CI/CD server is not doing DevOps, that having DevOps department full of DevOps engineer is not doing DevOps. But a lot of smart people know that DevOps is about culture, it's about process, it's about people. The problem is that a lot of times those people are not in the authority to guide the entire organization towards adopting real DevOps. And what we try to to convince people in this talk is that even when they don't have the authority and they are, if you wish, like an individual contributor or maybe a lead of a small team, they still have the means to steer the entire organization into the right implementation of DevOps.
Okay. So obviously I won't make you rehash your whole presentation, but can you give us like a sneak peek into that? So how do you exercise, how do you influence when you don't necessarily have authority?
Absolutely, absolutely. So there are a lot of ways to approach influencing people. What we show in this talk is one of those ways, and it's called the Bradford Cohen Influence Without Authority model. It's based on a book by Bradford and Cohen, Influencing Without Authority, and it talks about 6-step diagram towards influencing without authority. What you need to remember, what you need to look at, how do you approach, what your weapons of influence, if you wish, are, how to collect them, how to employ them, and all this kind of stuff.
Okay. So it's interesting, like, when you were talking about what real DevOps is, you talked a lot about the people and the process and what it is not. And it's interesting with you coming from JFrog, because in the end, you're a technology and tools company. So I just found it very interesting that you omitted that. So what's behind that?
Tools are extremely important, no doubt about it. One of the key goals of DevOps is releasing faster. One of the key ideas of DevOps is automating everything. And those goals and those ideas cannot be achieved without automation. So definitely automation is very, very important, and tools are there to support it. But from the other side, having just the tools, whether awesome as they are as JFrog tools, is not DevOps. Automating some part of your delivery is not DevOps. DevOps is about collaborating between people first and most important. Then obviously you need tools to implement what you have collaborated about, but tools come second, although probably my marketing people won't like me saying that.
Well, I'm just thinking about speaking truth to power. So go for it, Baruch. So can you share with us just, and I know again, there's probably many aspects to it, but can you share maybe like one specific example of how to, about, how you exercise some of this,
Yeah,
how you
absolutely.
influence an organization?
Yeah. In the end of the day, influencing is about give and take. It's about, especially without authority, right? You cannot say, hey, do that, and people do that.
Hmm.
Instead, you need to give them an incentive. It's about give and take. But the currency in this give and take is not money. I mean, you can try and bribe someone in your organization to implement DevOps, probably that won't fly. So the currency is not money. The currency is other things. And the good news are that other things other than money that you can trade exist.
Hmm.
If you, I'm speaking about, I'm mentioning probably like 20 books in this talk in
Oh,
different
wow. Uh-huh.
different aspects and for different aspects of the model. And one of the more important drives, one of the more important ones is Drive by Daniel Pink, about what motivates people. And when we talk about those currencies, those motivational currencies are one of the most important. If you manage to convince your peer or maybe a team lead of a traditional, for example, QA organization, that tearing the silos down and shifting left, and instead of waiting for the product to be tossed over the QA part and then start testing, instead participating in the development cycle and shifting left and implementing exploratory testing and then automating tests can give them more purpose to their work, can give them more autonomy in how can they influence that, and can give them more mastery, because obviously working with modern methodologies and more modern tools are more masterful than the old ones, then you will have an ally that will push two DevOps together with you. So that's one example. And obviously in this talk, I'm going to talk about a lot of roles in the organization and what their goals might be, or how can you express their goals in a way that they will understand that they need to participate in the movement towards real DevOps. In the end of the day, it's not about manipulating. You are not lying to anyone. You are not deceiving anyone. In
Hmm.
the end of the day, DevOps is good for everybody. And all you need to do is convince the key people that this is so by showing them what DevOps really is and applying this vision to what they care the most.
Okay. I want to kind of step away, and this is going to be a fascinating session. And again, we encourage all the viewers out there to check it out. I have to just kind of step away, just a little bit away from your session, and I know we'll probably maybe do something totally separate from this. But because it's been a while since we've had a conversation around DevOps, I mean, specifically you and I, one thing I just want to kind of get your take on was, we're almost like about a year into into the lockdown because of the events, both here in our country as well as globally. And I'm just kind of curious how with DevOps and the move towards automation, have you seen, are we seeing what's the connection? Are we seeing a ramp up for that? I mean, what's the connection?
Yeah, absolutely. It's fascinating to see how those events, which, kind of uh, tragic in many ways and unpleasant in other ways, and, just annoying in most of the ways, actually have benefits in completely unexpected places. So now working remotely and having those teams of people working from different places is the new norm. And suddenly, this is something that drives a lot of the efforts that, in the end of the day, you require for DevOps. For example, automation. If people cannot like sit together and do manual QA, they will try to automate those processes so they can control them instead of doing them from remote. And this is fascinating to see. it's also became quite obvious that we need to invest in collaboration and in communication. When we are in the office, and especially for a smaller team or smaller company, communication happens naturally. We have our water cooler, we have our open space, we have our lunches, and we just talk, and it looks like we don't put any effort in communication, and it just happens. Now, when we are away from each other, we need to force ourselves to communicate. And this, again, is a basic requirement for implementing DevOps. When people are communicating better, then obviously the communicative practices of DevOps emerge. So our emphasis of communication definitely helps.
Okay. Baruch, thank you so much for sharing. Your session looks awesome. And we, again, just to encourage everyone to check it out. All the best.
My pleasure. Thank you very much for having me, Javed. And next time, let's do it in person.
Absolutely. Thank you.